You say you want women to begin to own themselves, and it wasn't until you realized that in your own life that you really started to feel like you had meaning and that you were figuring out who the fuck you were. Can you tell us a
Mhm.
little bit about that?
Yeah, yeah, sure. That feels like a really long-winded story, but to shorten it and to give like the meat and potatoes of what that was, is a lot of my life felt like it was happening to me. I kept asking the question, like, why do these things keep happening to me? What am I doing? What am I attracting? And it was just one sort of life circumstance after another. And there became a point in my life, and it wasn't like a distinctive moment. This was an evolution, but an evolution where I started to really realize that all of these things were my greatest teachers. And when I started to look at the what we would call hard or difficult situations or relationships in my life and start to frame that in the way of like, what am I learning? What is this teaching me right now? I became so empowered through my story, where so many years I felt disempowered. I felt a lack of control. I was craving outward validation. I mean, I was hungry to be validated by others. And in leadership, that was beautiful because obviously I built massive organizations where that came into my world. But when you're counting on that for your energy and for how you show up and how you feel about yourself, so much of my power was outside of me. So it was when I started really standing in my power and deciding, I'm going to take the reins of my life and I'm going to stop thinking, why is this happening to me? And instead, why is this happening for me?
And
That
was there a
sounds very
specific
cliche.
moment that like you felt like shit, this is really happening? Because I know for me in this whole midlife journey, obviously we all know the term midlife crisis,
Right.
but I'm sort of seeing it as a midlife remix. And the reason
Mm,
I call it the midlife remix instead of the crisis is for exactly what you're talking about. It's like, hey, you guys, yeah, some of menopause and being in midlife sucks, but some of it's like amazing. And let's
right.
like use this opportunity and show that we do have agency and we do have choices and we can't, like you say, like sit back and become the victims and like letting everything happen to us. And what
Hmm.
choices can we make every single day, no matter how small they are, to
Hmm.
remix?
Right. Right. And that's our superpower. That's the one thing as a mid age woman who is still feeling vibrant and young. I think sometimes my birth certificate's wrong. So I,
I just have
I
to look at my wrinkles just to like, I have to let the Botox run out and then I can fucking see where I'm at.
then you're like, okay, there we go. That the no filter, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a true story. What happened for me and what I believe happens to a lot of women is when we're not in tune with ourselves. So when we're looking outside of ourselves for validation, for, our little ideas of success, and we're grasping at that, we don't hear the whispers. And so I lived my life. One of my, if we can call it regrets, but it really genuinely is something I'm still working through and will work through, is not listening to my inner voice, not hearing myself, not asking myself questions, not hearing the whispers and the guidance, and just being so quick to make decisions. And I was molding to everybody around me constantly. It was like shape shifting constantly. And so it was a particular moment that was a brick in the head because I hadn't listened to the whispers. I wasn't tuning in. I wasn't taking the time to be with myself. And that came through hemorrhaging. I actually started to hemorrhage about 2 years ago. I started my cycle and it just was beyond something I've never experienced before. And I, again, not listening to the whispers and brushing it off. Oh, it's menopause. My hormones are changing. I've been stressed, whatever it was.
I have 4 kids and 18
Yes.
businesses. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just kept pushing that aside because it was like plow through, keep going. And I eventually went into the hospital. They did all sorts of tests. We're like, no, it's menopause. Like, you're fine. You're menopause. Here's some clotting medication to get this under control. And it was 2 days later that I was hospitalized and receiving blood transfusions, and the blood was leaving me faster than they could infuse it into my body. And that was a really pivotal moment in my life, probably because one of the first real health scares I ever had. I've been very fortunate with my health, but also this moment where I had to stop. It wasn't even a choice of keep going through. I had to stop And I feel like this woman was planted in my life. I honestly call her one of my angels that came to earth because I don't know who she is. I don't know if I'll ever find her, but she was an OBGYN and she just appeared in my room. How she got there, who she was referred from, I have no idea still. And she said to me, this has nothing to do with your physical body. What's
Mm.
happening to you right now is a spiritual cleansing. She goes, I just feel it. What do you need
Ooh,
to
you
let
just
go
gave me the
of?
chills, like full
Right.
body chills. Ah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was powerful. And in
Wow.
the moment, I just sort of thought, looked at her as a doctor because she was dressed in that, but her message landed. And I thought, what if this isn't physical? And what if this is actually a spiritual awakening? What if this is, in fact, my body cleansing from so much hurt that was still held in my body for all the things I desire to be, but not giving myself permission to be, for chasing the word balance and like wanting everything to fit
Having it
together perfectly.
all.
When it was about loosening the grip, like I was white knuckling and it was working. I was highly successful. My family was gorgeous and beautiful and cared for. Everything was working, but I still had a white knuckle grip on my life, and that loosened the grip. And when I loosened the grip, I feel like everything changed for the better. And I didn't even know it could get better, to be honest with you.